Welcome to our video lesson on costs and unit rates. Okay, before we get started, we need to talk about how costs are actually rates. So remember that a rate is when we have two different units. So for example here, we have $20 for 1 liter of Canadian maple syrup. So it's $20, that's our first unit. And our second unit is liters of maple syrup. So that's a rate, $20 for one. Then the other one is for One Direction concert tickets. So my first unit is concert tickets. Cost $412. That's my second unit. Unit cost is a unit rate that gives the cost per unit. Now, to understand what this means, we need to remember what unit rate means. So a unit rate is the rate for 1 unit of a given quantity. So the unit cost is the cost for 1 quantity of that item. Remember, unit means 1. Write down the quantity that makes each of the followings a unit cost. So let's do the first few together. 1 pound for 79 cents. 1 pound is what makes this a unit cost because the 1 is in units. The next one, $12 a book. This one doesn't have the number 1 in it. But when they say a book, it means for 1 book. So our unit, our quantity that makes it a unit is 1 book. $1.40 a song, it will be song. Try the last two on your own. Then you need to write your own example of a unit cost. Please write that on your handout, your own example of a unit cost. Okay, now we have some different examples and it's asking us what unit will the unit cost be measured in. So what unit is it going to be when we convert it? Here we have 16 ounces of crackers for $2.39. Well, to make this a unit cost, we would go from 16 ounces to 1 ounce. The next one, 3 pounds of apples for $1.89. Well, we want to figure out how much 1 pound of apples would cost. So our units for that would be 1 pound. Okay, next one. 32 ounces of juice for $1.64. So our unit would be 1 ounce. $60 for 3 shirts. Our unit is going to be 1 shirt. Try the last one on your own. Okay, last thing we need to talk about before we talk about how to find unit rates is how to correctly write costs. So, which of these following prices are written correctly? Which price is right? There's one on here that's correct. Hopefully you see that this is the correct price and this is how it should be written. In American dollars, we write with 2 decimal places after the decimal. We write to the hundredths place because those represent our cents. These are all incorrectly written because it doesn't have the right number of decimals after your decimal place. When you're talking about unit costs, you always need to make sure there's 2 decimals here. So you round to the hundredths place. Okay, let's do some examples of how to find the unit cost. This is just like finding other unit rates, except for instead of being a bunch of different units, it's with price. Let's do the first few together. We have 6 peaches for $3.84. I'm going to start by setting up my rate. So I have 6 peaches for $3.84. I need to find out how much it would cost for 1 peach. My equivalent rate, to simplify it, I need to go from 6 to 1. To go from 6 to 1, it's getting smaller, so I'm going to divide by 6, because 6 divided by 6 gives us 1. Okay, we're going to do the same thing that we did to the numerator to the denominator. So I'm going to divide $3.84 by 6. Okay, we have a decimal here, so I'm going to bring it up right away so we don't forget about it later. Can 6 go into 3? No, so I put a 0 up top. Can 6 go into 38? Yes, it can. 6 can go into 38 6 times, and 6 times 6 is 36. 38 minus 36 is 2. I bring down that 4. Can 6 go into 24? Yes, it can. 4 times, and 4 times 6 is 24. 24 minus 24 is 0. So what this means, it means that one peach would cost $0.64. Now, before I move on, I'm going to think to myself, does that make sense? Does it make sense if 6 peaches cost $3.84, that one peach could cost 64 cents? Think about it. Hopefully you say, yes, that makes sense. 64 cents is less than $3.84, and it makes sense that it's about 6 times less. Okay, let's do the next example. I'm just going to erase this arrow so that we can see it a little bit better. So the next example is 4 ounces of crackers for $2.39. I'm going to start by writing my rate. So I have 4 ounces for $2.39. I'm trying to get a unit rate, so I'm trying to figure out how much it would cost for 1 ounce of crackers. And I need to go from 4 down to that 1. To go from 4 to 1, I'm going to divide by 4. 4 divided by 4 would give me my 1. Whatever I did to the numerator, to find my equivalent rate, I need to do the same thing to the denominator, so I'm going to divide this by 4. Okay, so now I need to divide $2.39 by 4. Again, I'm going to bring up my decimal right away so I don't forget about it. Can 4 go into 2? No, so I put a 0. Can 4 go into 23? Yes, it can. It can go in 5 times. And 5 times 4 is 20. 23 minus 20 gives me 3. I bring down that 9. How many times can 4 go into 39? 4 goes into 39 9 times, and 9 times 4 is 36. 39 minus 36 gives me 3. Okay, last time I did this, I got a really nice answer, and I knew to stop because I had a 0 at the bottom here in my remainder. But now I have 3 in my remainder down here. So that means I'm not done yet. What that means is we're going to have to round our answer. Remember that dollars are rounded to the hundredths place. So for this, we're going to have to round it to the hundredths place. Okay, I'm going to add a 0 here and bring it down. How many times can 4 go into 30? 4 can go into 37 times, and 7 times 4 is 28. 30 minus 28 gives me 2. I can stop here. I can stop here because we're going to round to this place, the hundredths place. To round to the hundredth place, I just need the number one spot to the right, which is our 7, to tell me how I'm going to round it. If your number that's in the thousands place is greater than or equal to 5, you round it up. If your number is less than 5, it stays the same. So in this case, 7 is greater than or equal to 5. So I'm going to round this number up. When I round 9 up, it becomes 10. If I make this 10, I put the 1 here in the tenths place, and the 0 will go here. So I'm going to add the 5 and the 1 together, and so this rounded would be 60 cents. It's because my 7 tells me I need to round up. When I round 9 up, I get 10, so I add 1 onto the 5, and this becomes a 0. Now I think to myself, does this make sense? Does it make sense that if 4 ounces cost $2.39, 1 ounce would cost 60 cents? Hopefully you think to yourself, yeah, that makes sense. Okay, my challenge for you is try the next 2 on your own. You should be showing the work on your paper. I should see all those calculations there. When you think you have the answer, click play to see if you got it right. Okay, now that you've tried it, the answer for number 3, $2.07 for 8 fluid ounces. When that's written as a unit cost, so for 1 fluid ounce, would cost 26 cents. Now, if you wrote your answer the other way, where the 26 cents is on top and the 1 fluid ounce is on the bottom, it's still correct because you're saying that it would cost the same amount. The last one, 8 books cost $54. You should have found that 1 book costs $6.75. If this is going really well for you, I challenge you to try this question down here. This is how much it costs to smoke 1 cigarette a day for 10 years. How much does it cost to smoke for 1 year? Try and figure it out on your own if you can. That's all for now. I'll talk to you later.